for joining me. Sorry, so late. Had a minor distraction this evening that put me behind schedule on the live streams. There's an upload that should be about me pertaining to the murder of Miss Andrea Moore. Mr. DePriest, Reginald DePriest, has a $500,000 bond. And from my understanding, he's still in custody, but things can change on those websites pertaining to inmates. So please go to that said information. You feel free to check the inmate listing for yourself. But anyway, I've posted her obituary that is not complete, but it's up on the Unity Mortuary. It's on my community page, and I give you brief information pertaining to his arrest, him turning himself in, the alleged information. Not much to go on, just that a woman found her inside the apartment who lived in the same apartment. So feel free to check out that upload. Check out my earlier live pertaining to Hunter, better known as Boy H. I played content from his father's channel about June 15th, 2021, pertaining to Summer Wells. We're going to discuss that later tomorrow when I have gotten some rest, because I am like wired up right now, very tired. That was a winded live because I had to talk in between the content and, address questions and things that are contradictory to things he had said before. So we will go over the polls then. I could do it now, but it'll take up too much time. So I'll go over those polls tomorrow, and we can discuss what was said, what you believe pertaining to 2021's interview with the interview room versus what he said on that father's channel. I'm going to give you some updates, then we're going to get into this content pertaining to Gypsy Rose, because I don't want to be on this live very long. The court clerk in the Alex Murdaugh trial is now facing 2 investigations. Todd Julie Chrisley received $1 million settlement in suit alleging investigation misconduct. How interesting is that? And a third arrest has been made in connection with the deaths of pregnant teen boyfriend out of Texas. The stepmother of the suspect has been arrested in that case. I am not covering that case, but I post the updates to my community page if you are curious to the said information. I'm going to play audio from News Nation, and then I will read you information in regards to bombshell information about Gypsy Rose pertaining to allegations of abuse from her from her grandfather and her mom. As most of you know, the mother is no longer alive. She conspired to have her mother killed with Mr. Nicholas Godejohn, who is currently in prison. And I do believe a defense team is trying to work up an appeal for him in his conviction. He is serving a life sentence without the possibility of parole. Thank you for joining me. You're now listening to the Vault XL. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $sign again to 129 Cash App, Sickles and Chats. Always welcome to the live stream. Let's hear what News Nation has to say pertaining to this diabolical case.
Grandfather took with her.
Hold on one second.
Those also happened with her mother.
Hold on one second, everybody.
Yeah, exactly. This is one of the more
very baffling information. Okay, thank you so much for joining me. Kind of jumped on there too fast. I don't know why I'm having trouble today with my audio. Anytime I talk about true crime, it just seems like nothing.
Harsh details that you have to read, but obviously this is someone's story.
Okay, everybody, here we go.
The baths that she said she was taking with her grandfather, that her grandfather took with her, those also happened with her mother?
Yeah, exactly. This is one of the more harsh details that you have to read, but obviously this is someone's story and she wants to share it all. It wasn't just her mother, but also her grandfather, and one time all 3 of them in the bath. And it wasn't until she actually went to prison that she realized that it's not a very normal thing for adult women to actually do with each other. And so it's something that she's coming to grips with, the reality of her past and what's actually normal for an everyday person. But then on top of that, really excruciating details about getting clean in the bath with her mother. One detail I'll share with you is that her mother actually shaved her private parts down there. It was all about, in her mother's eyes, getting clean. She saw her daughter as a dirty girl, and so shaving her was a way to get her clean. And that's really a theme that you see throughout this entire book. How does one get clean? Not just in the sense of literally bathing, but also the dirtiness that she feels post-conviction, knowing full well that she was responsible for killing her mother, and that still weighs on her, and that's what makes her feel dirty.
Well, I'm going to just go one step further, and I'm guessing since her mother was desperate to convince everybody that she was so much younger than she was, maybe that was the ulterior motive to take the razor to her little girl. That's just so disturbing. There's some mention about Dee Dee practicing witchcraft. What does Gypsy Rose say about that?
Yeah, this is very interesting because Gypsy says, even to this day, a part of her still believes her mother is a witch, because this was something that was so deeply ingrained into her when she was a child, that her mother possessed these supernatural powers, because she was constantly threatening her and saying that, you know, I'm going to conjure a spell to make sure that you behave because you've been such a bad girl. And she says, hey, look, moms and dads, I'm not condoning it, but if your child is out of line, that's a very powerful way to make sure that they do get in line. Because she said that she was absolutely shocked and, you know, completely still at all times, just out of fear that her mother might produce some sort of spell that actually harms her even further than what she was already feeling in the time. You know, we know that she was bound in a wheelchair, and her mother's saying that I can make it even worse for you. And so to this day, she still believes a portion of that her mom has those powers. But there's several anecdotes in there about her mom going out and shopping, get a cow's tongue so that she could brew it into a potion. Really some dark and twisted things that her mother was doing to manipulate her.
Dark and twisted. She said she was tied to the bed. I think multiple times, but in one particular instance, it was because she had just dared to meet a man on Facebook.
Yeah, this was around the time that she was actually venturing with a laptop that she was given by some charitable organization. And so she was being very secretive, and she was creating social media accounts, and she actually met a guy in her 30s at this time, probably about 10 to 15 years older than Gypsy. And that sort of brewed into some sort of a relationship. And finally, when it all came out, obviously mom was not very pleased about that. And that's what you're alluding to. She actually beat her with a dog's leash, and then after that, tied her with that dog's leash to the bed for 2 full weeks, Ashley.
Something else I did not know, she went into prison with only a first grade education. Just so disturbing to hear that that's how sheltered this poor girl was, but that she managed to get her GED while behind bars and actually developed a best friend. What do we know about best friend?
Yeah, actually, there were several inmates that she tried to have friendships with. She said this whole concept of actually having friends was a very difficult thing for her, because she just didn't really have any growing up. And so all of a sudden, she's now seeing prison as sort of like a school where you actually can go around and try to make friends. And some were successes, other were failures. For example, one inmate really she confided to, sharing a lot about her history and some of her secrets. That inmate just turned right around, spilled beans, and told the warden about all those secrets in a way to try to get a plea deal. So that was a friendship gone wrong. One that she still believes is one of her closest friends to this day is also a woman at that same correctional facility that was convicted of a very similar crime. She and her boyfriend also killed their mother. And so that was something that they really bonded about and able to share that past trauma and abuse and find healing together.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find news.
News Nation is the source of this information. Let's chop up what was said during this commentary. Thank you for joining me. Shaved her pubic hair. Her mom, Miss Dee Dee, who's no longer alive. Dee Dee's not here to answer that question. So why would you be shaving a child's pubic hair? So what age did she start shaving the pubic hair? What was the motive for shaving the pubic hair? Was it to make her appear younger? Naturally, a doctor can check down there to see that hair growth has been going on. And some girls do get hair on their body sooner than other girls, just like getting a cycle. Some girls get a cycle earlier than other girls. So that doesn't really mean anything about age, because people get hair on their bodies at young ages, just like some people gray early than others. So what was the motive for shaving her hair? Down there, what was the age that she started shaving the young lady's pubic hair? She still believes her mother's a witch. Well, Gypsy, how could your mother be a witch if she's no longer alive? Kind of hard to cast spells when you are no longer alive. But maybe this is part of the grooming and the brainwashing. She still believes that the mother is a witch. Casting spells on her daughter. Searching for cow tongues to make a potion. Threatening to put a potion on the child at that time. Tied her to the bed because Gypsy dared to meet a guy. Lord have mercy. Dog leash. Used a dog leash to tie her to the bed and beat her with that same dog leash before tying her to the bed. These are allegations from Miss Gypsy Rose. First grade education when she entered into jail, but ended up getting a GED inside of the prison, or got a GED while in prison, excuse me. One inmate turned on her, went to the warden, gave up information. Did that person get a plea deal or some type of reduction in their sentence? And of course, that guy who she was trying to sneak out to meet or talk to on Facebook when she got tied to the bed, he was 10 to 15 years or so older. Where is he at now? The other friend who killed their mom, her and that guy, her boyfriend, is she still in prison? How much time did she get? And do they still talk to one another? Next, there will be more information coming out. And as the information is released, I will bring you a live stream per the information. And some of you probably will question some of the allegations against Dee Dee. What was real? What was not? Is she exaggerating some of this? I don't think it's going to matter, because it is what it is. As I said, when you're dealing with abuse, it's not going to matter, because you don't have anybody to refute the allegations against Dee Dee and the grandfather. But this guy had said during this commentary that they all had bathed together. So I'm going to go into an article to bring you more information about the bathing. So Gypsy bathed with her mother up until being an adult, right up before the murder. And the grandfather also bathed with the girl child before Dee Dee and her disappeared. And I'm going to also bring you allegations of incest between Dee Dee and that father, which is Dee Dee's biological father, I'm assuming. Thank you for joining me. Let's get down to this dirty discussion here. If you have a problem with conversations pertaining to SA, please remove yourself from the chat and check back with me at another time to listen to a different live stream. HuffPost.com is the source pertaining to these allegations against the decedent Dee Dee Blanchard and the grandfather, who is currently still alive, and he denies all allegations of child molestation. His claims are that she, Miss Gypsy Rose, touched him inappropriately as a toddler or young girl, and he told her no. As I said before in that last live stream, did he tell her mother, father, whomever, that the little girl was touching him inappropriately? Or is this just somebody using an excuse to give us half information that he was engaging in sexual business with a child, nefarious deeds? His way of trying to talk his way out of actually doing the deed with a young girl. Did anybody else touch her inappropriately? Will we find that out? I do not know. Let's get down to this. Was the mother mentally ill? Gypsy Rose Blanchard drops 10 more bombshells in the new book. Just after her release from prison and a Lifetime docuseries about her conviction for killing her abusive mother, Blanchard revealed more startling details in Released. Content uploaded January 9th of 2024. Gypsy Rose Blanchard, who was just released from prison December 28, 2023, after serving more than 8 years for killing her abusive mother in 2015, published a book Tuesday in which she revealed more shocking details about her life before and after the murder. Blanchard co-wrote Released Conversations of the Eve of Freedom with Michelle Mastrosiana and Melissa Moore, who interviewed her while she was in prison. Their interviews are featured on Lifetime's docuseries, The Prison Confessions of Gypsy Rose Blanchard, and the book is supplemented by transcripts of their conversations and Blanchard's personal accounts of her traumatic upbringing. Her mother, Dee Dee, is believed to have had a fictitious order imposed on another, formerly known as Munchausen syndrome by proxy, and fooled doctors into treating her daughter for non-existent illnesses, including leukemia, muscular dystrophy, epilepsy, and a chromosomal disorder, whatever that is, among other ailments. At the same time, Dee Dee was accepting funds and even a house, Habitat House, of course, I just threw that in, from charitable organizations. Here are some of the revelations Blanchard shared about her life before and after she persuaded her online boyfriend, Nick Godeshan, to fatally stab her mother. Although she was 23, but thought she was 18, the murder was the only way, she said, she could escape the horrific abuse. Blanchard didn't learn that all of her illnesses had been faked until after her arrest. Although she joined her mother in lying about her need to use a wheelchair, she could and did walk and was bald not for medication, but because she shaved her head. Gypsy Rose had a hard time believing her public defender when he said she didn't have cancer or any of the illnesses that had defined me and confined me. So is that true? Did she not know by the time trial rolled around that she did not have these diseases? Blanchard and her mother used her wheelchair for shoplifting. Because they were recognized as a mother doting on her special needs child, Blanchard wrote, no one suspected they were stealing. They used her wheelchair to knock items off store shelves and hide them under her princess dress. Blanchard's mother, who told her she was 5 years younger than her actual age, dressed her in children's clothes. So this might be what Banfield is saying about the shaving of the pubic hair. She then lied to the child about her age. So possibly she lied to doctors about her age. Allegedly didn't have documents when she moved out of Louisiana to Missouri. So maybe that is part of the farce, shaving the pubic hair to make her seem younger than she was. But if they left when she was 8 or 9, I don't see the need in shaving pubic hair unless she did just started getting hair young. I don't really know. Once again, dressed her in children's clothes, beanie cap, which she wore over her shaved head as part of the cancer ruse, and swapped barcodes on expensive items with those cheaper ones. They didn't even need many of the items they stole, said Blanchard, who described her mother as a hoarder. Our bedroom had so much powder in it, I needed to carve a pathway for myself from the door to the bed, she said. So I find this interesting. She says, our bedroom. It's in quotations. So you're bathing with a grown child. I would also assume that they'd be sleeping together in the same bed. Because why would she say our bedroom was hoarded? So were these two sleeping together in the same bed? Then you have to ask the ultimate dirty question. Did she sexually molest her child, Gypsy Rose Blanchard? Because you do not hear of a man in her life dating Dee Dee going out to meet a man. So did Dee Dee ever have sexual relations with a man while this ruse was going on for 15 or so years? Number one. Did a man ever come to the house to visit her? Did she ever go out on dates? Is she, or was she, excuse me, because she's no longer alive, was she a heterosexual woman or a bisexual woman? You have to ask all these questions because you don't really know what you're dealing with here. So I asked all the questions. Okay, once again, our bedroom had so much powder in it. I needed to carve a pathway for myself from the door to the bed. So that lets you know they were sleeping together. She took baths with her mother up until right before the murder. I never thought this is not normal, Blanchard told more about the shared baths. She said this was where her mother would shave Blanchard's pubic hair, which Dee Dee referred to as making her clean. So when Dee Dee was shaving her hair, was she shaving it because the girl was too bushy down there, or she had maybe a foul odor? Because if you tend to have a foul odor in that private region, I could see shaving the hair to keep yourself more, clean and not to perspire as much. Or this was just a dirty woman who had sick ideologies about the vagina and womanhood, girlhood. I don't know. In a recorded interrogation after their arrest, Godejohn said that after the murder, Blanchard shaved her legs and pubic hair in the bathroom where she'd been hiding while he stabbed her mother to death. Blanchard said he raped her there, where he claimed the sex was consensual. So was the sex consensual, or did she make that up? Number two, she shaved her legs. So that would lead you to believe perhaps she was just a hairy girl. That's why I said I don't really know why the mother would shave pubic hair. But here you hear from the guy who is locked up, she shaved her hair. Let me read that again. She shaved her legs and pubic hair in the bathroom while he was killing her mom. Okay? So is she just a hairy young lady? I don't know. Her grandfather allegedly sexually assaulted both Gypsy Rose and her mother. Blanchard discussed her grandfather's alleged sexual abuse of his daughter and granddaughter in the docuseries, but said in the book that he sexually assaulted her mother even when Dee Dee was an adult. Ooh, very telling. While her mother was recuperating from a debilitating car accident, Blanchard said her grandfather would carry Dee Dee into the other rooms and assault her. So what we have to ask is, where were they living at this time? Louisiana or Missouri? Where did the parents live, the grandparents? Because I like to get a time frame of this allegation of the father touching Dee Dee as an adult. Was this in Louisiana? I believe it was, because I think it stopped at some point when they moved. It says she hasn't spoken or communicated with him since she was a child, she said. Let me go back. Hold on 1 minute. Now, she says he took the mother into a bedroom to assault her. Very interesting. This is sick to me. So when we say assault, what are we saying? Do not mean to get graphic, but I have to ask. You took your daughter into the room and she would agree to let you assault her even though she was, what, walking on crutches or wheelchair? Could Gypsy hear sexual conversations, moans, groans? What does she mean? Or she doesn't really know, but she knew something nefarious went on in the room. This is bad. If these allegations are true, this is really, really bad. In the docuseries, her grandfather, Claude Petrie, denied abusing Gypsy Rose and instead claimed that she tried to touch him. She was the one that was trying to touch me, and I said, no, don't do that. She started that when she was about 4 years old. So she claims she was abused by a grandpa at 4 with the baths. He says 4, I guess, and she was the perpetrator. Very interesting. Low blow there, Grandpa. Blanchard and Godejohn's romantic relationship continued for a year after the murder. Blanchard said she was still pining over Nick while they were in the county jail. They exchanged letters by hiding them in the recreation room and writing love messages on the wall. Later, when they were both in prison, the former couple exchanged just 2 letters. When Godejohn found out she was engaged to another man before she met and married Ryan Anderson in 2022, he accused her of adultery because he had taken her virginity, though she said she said he hadn't, and they were still married under God's law. So let me reread that because I'm getting confused now. So Godejohn got wind that she was engaged to somebody else before she met Mr. Anderson, who's her current husband. He accused her of adultery because he had taken her virginity, though she said he hadn't. Well, so what's the truth? They had sex or they didn't have sex that night that she murdered her mother. It's also an allegation that they had sex in the bathroom, if I believe he's the one that came and met her when they went to the picture show. And that was her first time having sex with him, allegedly. I don't know. The fact that he thought that they were married under God's law, this will show you that he's not mentally stable in the mind. He knows he never married her. He knows they never went to the justice of the peace. But in his mind, he felt like, well, I've had sex with her. She is my wife, because maybe he came from a two-parent home, and he just assumed you're together, you're having sex, you're married. This will show you that perhaps he is not all there, and maybe he is schizophrenic, has some mental issues, autistic, I don't know. But at his age, he should have known if you're legally married to a person or not. This is very interesting information. I do believe there's something wrong with Mr. Godejohn. And when you look at him in the court trials, he's in a whole different universe, an alternate universe. She replied that she never wanted to get back together with him, but still felt a sense of guilt, which is why she testified on his behalf at his murder trial. He was sentenced to life without parole while she accepted a plea deal. And naturally, everyone knows she has served 8.5 years inside a prison at 85%. Blanchard said her mother claimed to be a powerful witch, used spells to punish her daughter, saw shapes and shadows and heard voices from people who disliked Gypsy. So what was she actually doing to her child? Beating her, hurting her, tying her up, casting spells on her? Did she go by a cow tongue? What else was she whipping up inside of that home? It could not have been a great place to live for a young girl. Most definitely. I assume she was practicing voodoo because they are from Louisiana. And that is a known practice down there in the bayou, for those who are not familiar with Louisiana culture. And it's also known in the deep South, such as Florida, Mississippi, and other southern states, even here in Tennessee. Blanchard also said her mother had schizophrenia and bipolar disorder. It is unclear whether Dee Dee had been diagnosed with the disease, was taking medication for it, or if others noticed her unusual behavior during her frequent public appearances and medical appointments. So good question. Did anybody notice that Dee Dee was off? Did anybody go call CPS to say her behavior was off? Just curious. Blanchard's family was Catholic, and she is a Christian now, but she explored Wicca and wore a pentagram medallion in prison. She said that Wicca felt familiar to her because she grew up near New Orleans, where there was a supernatural flip side to Catholicism in voodoo and other practices, not to mention her mother's belief in manifesting outcomes through spells. So was this lady casting spells on her daughter to keep her there? I also like to know why this girl did not ever try to fight her mother back. Did she ever try to fight her mother? Unprovoked, provoked, being tied up? Why did she not try to fight her mom back? Or did she? I'm curious. Blanchard had only a first grade education when she was sent to prison. Blanchard said her mom homeschooled her at first with Christian books about the alphabet and numbers, but soon discontinued it and was never challenged by authorities. Blanchard attended school in prison and eventually earned a high school equivalent diploma. She spent 2 weeks in solitary confinement after a stranger's social media post that prison officials interpreted as a signal that Blanchard planned to escape. She was thrown in the hole while authorities investigated. It was traumatizing. It didn't make sense, she said, since it happened just a few months before her parole hearing. So obviously they investigated and realized that it was not true, that she wasn't going to break out or attempt to break out because she is now free. In this article, you will see a picture of Gypsy inside of an automobile. Her husband is sitting close to the window, close to the camera of the photographer, and he is smiling like a chess cat. She's waving to outsiders. It's very creepy looking at this man smiling here. I don't know. Maybe I'm overjudging, but it's just strange. This photograph was taken after leaving a taping of The View in New York City on January 5th, if you need documentation of the information. She is expecting to do a follow-up series to the recent Lifetime docuseries and another book. As much as I have resisted the public role, she wrote, it keeps finding me in bigger, more transcendent ways. Well, she knows what the word transcendent means. I know that doing 2 books, a Lifetime docuseries and a follow-up series will look nothing like the private life I wish I had, quote unquote. So what is her grade level today? I'm curious. A spokesperson for Lifetime told HuffPost that they had cameras following Gypsy during her recent press tour and are evaluating what could come next in Gypsy's story. If you have any questions about the information that I have read to you, HuffPost is the source. And you can kindly donate to them so you can keep getting free content via the internet. Thank you for joining me, everybody. Solitary confinement for 2 weeks before getting a parole hearing. Wore a pentagram medallion in prison. First grade education when she first got sent to prison. Got a GED. Believes her mother's a witch. Mother was casting spells on her. Oh, Lord, it goes on and on. The mother saw shapes and shadows, heard voices from people who disliked Gypsy. So did she tell the daughter that nobody liked her? Was that just to try to keep her confined to the house, not to run away? What was wrong with Dee Dee Blanchard? Schizophrenic, bipolar, both? Was she ever diagnosed in her young life before having a child? Who was Dee Dee Blanchard? A lot of accusations being made about this woman. Bathing with her daughter. Why would you be bathing with a child? When children get to a certain age, it's probably not conducive to be bathing with them. Now, you are entitled to pick whatever age that you feel is appropriate to stop bathing with your child. Some even having a child sleep in your bed. Everybody has their own thing. But bathing is way, way personal. So what were the reasons for her sleeping in letting that girl child sleep in her bed as an adult? Why was she shaving her pubic hair? She shaved her head to make it appear that she had cancer. I did hear that she did take some medicines that made her hair fall out, but then this commentary says no. So I don't know what to believe about the meds, because I won't doubt that she was also making her sick with something, because she stayed very thin for her age, and also questioned the doctors why she wasn't gaining weight. Well, see, she probably was starving her. And as they said about this Munchausen syndrome, it's an easy way to poison a child with the feeding tube. All that's disturbing to me. Some have questioned her surgeries, but as I told somebody in the chat on my comment page under a video, you don't know what all went on in the house, so you can't say what surgery she had and didn't have. The girl had teeth removed, for God's sake. So why the hell would somebody remove her teeth? And you didn't see any type of disease that would warrant pulling her teeth out, or were her teeth rotting from meds? See, you don't know. But I blame the doctors, because at some point, somebody should have stood up and called CPS to stay on this lady. I don't care if she moved. You hunt her down. You put a warrant out for her arrest. If you do have information that states she was possibly abusing her child. There's no way I believe all these doctor's appointments, somebody didn't notice something was not right with diagnoses. You have to say, I don't see this here. I didn't see this in the blood work. This is BS. Stealing. Used her child to steal. Gypsy says they didn't need the stuff that they were stealing. And naturally, who's going to be questioning somebody in a wheelchair? Especially a child. Pushing her around in these flamboyant dresses. God forbid she was still wearing those type of dresses at 15, 16 years of age. All the different color wigs you've seen her in. Very scary. It's scary and it's creepy. Because I would be buying a wig that would be more appealing to her facial structure, her skin tone. The mother was doing too much. Just doing too much. Let me see what you all are saying down here in the chat. Hold on a minute. Get over where I can maneuver. Sorry about that, everybody. Time to make money now. She wants all the attention, just like her mother did with her. She's going to make a lot of money now, going to interviews. Yes, of course she is. I mean, it is what it is. You see, the stepmother told her, sell your story, tell your story. It's your time. But some of you are questioning her manipulating? Will she be making up extra stuff? As I said, it won't even matter at this point because once it's been proven that the mother lied to her about being sick and you don't know if you got cancer or not. How would you know at 8 or 9 years of age that you have cancer and this and that? You going by what your mother told you. But I still blame the doctors because at some point, somebody should have noticed that she did not have any of these ailments in her blood system. Whenever you say, well, they got this, they got that. Well, naturally, outsiders aren't going to question it, but the doctors had to have known, okay, well, let me see the medical records from such and such hospital. Let me go get these records from this place, that place. Because when she moved to Missouri, she was then starting a trail, a paper trail. So a doctor shouldn't have had any problems with getting some information. She had to have some type of medical insurance because bills would add up going to the doctor all the time. So somebody had to notice something, and one doctor did. And I believe he's given his commentary in one of the docuseries, and I played that information briefly. But I have a problem with whoever saw her and thought something was off with any blood work, diagnostics, her teeth, all of that. When you are a doctor, you go to school to study medicine, you should be able to tell if a person is sick or not. That's why you do blood work. You check them from head to toe, their ears, their mouth, their throat, their private parts, their feet, their hands. Well, they should have been asking Dee Dee, are you feeding your daughter? And I'm wondering if a doctor ever asked that. Dee Dee, are you feeding your daughter? It's very scary. What are you saying? It is sickening. Making money of this is not right. Well, you can argue this all you want. The point is people sell their stories all the time about being abused. People sell happy stories. People sell horrible stories. It's life. You don't have to agree with it. But people sell their stories all the time. And obviously she was already in the makes of talking about things before she got out. Maybe that's why this Lifetime reached out to her to do a story on her because they knew she was going to be coming up for parole. And that's usually the time when people will reach out to people when they know they're about to come out and they want to do a follow-up afterwards of their life. That's why you're hearing of a continuation by Lifetime, because they talked to her before getting out, and now I guess they're going to follow her to see what her life is like. But what I find interesting, why does she need 2 books? The story should be the same, so why do you need to write 2 books? Never heard of such. I don't understand that. That's the one thing I don't get. What is the purpose of 2 books? So, is it a book about the prison life? And then now we want to write a book of after prison life. I'm assuming so. Let's see what else we can find in the queue pertaining to this crazy nonsense, because God knows it is just absolutely crazy. Hold on, everybody. Because I had found something I wanted to talk about. Let me see what these people are talking about here. Let's see if we hear something about this double life. In prison.
Notice with mothers with Munchausen by proxy, and I say mothers because 95% are, is that they'll bring the child to the doctor, they'll say something's terribly wrong, you've got to figure out what it is, and the doctor does a bunch of tests and then says, we can't find anything wrong. Instead of being like a normal parent, oh, phew, I'm so glad to hear that. Thank you for reassuring me. These mothers will be upset. What do you mean nothing's wrong? Oh no, you've got to keep working. And they will find expert after expert for second opinion and fifth opinion. These people are not insane. They are exceedingly calculated. They plan, they hide the behavior, they go to great lengths to maintain that they're right.
I remember there was a was allergic to, and my mother would give me too much of that medication. And then take pictures, show them to the doctor, and say, this is when she ate sugar. So I was having a legitimate reaction, but it was not to what she was saying it was.
Wow.
I didn't think I was allergic to sugar. I would have a candy bar here and there, and I would have no reaction to it. But at the time, I really didn't understand what was going on.
When perpetrators of Munchausen syndrome by proxy finally get the diagnosis they've been searching for, they almost have well, and you can almost see the gratification.
My mother knew no knowledge of Nick whatsoever, and the relationship was filled with me having to sneak around.
With Nick, Gypsy's having kind of a dual life here. She's maintaining a relationship with Nick, but also still gratifying her mother, but there's going to be a ultimate conflict as to what's more important to her.
With my mother, I could lie and think nothing of it. But this was a really big secret.
The conflict of just being inherently strangled and controlled by this mother meant at some point this was going to blow up and boil over somehow. So when Gypsy loses her virginity, there's a rebelliousness at that point of saying, you know what, screw it. I'm going to have sex. I'm going to lose my virginity, and you're going to be feet away in a movie theater.
Sorry, intermission. I do believe bad luck was going to happen regardless to this lady, Dee Dee. It was inevitable. She was either going to turn on Gypsy or Gypsy was going to turn on her. It was going to happen.
There's absolutely a fear on Dee Dee's part that she was starting to lose control of Gypsy.
Yeah, exactly.
And also really fear
Exactly.
that she would lose the sickness in her child, which was her lifeline. It was her reason to live. And so she had to teach Gypsy a lesson.
When she got me inside the house, she chained me to the bed. She smashed my computer and my cell phone.
Wow.
And I was chained for 2 weeks.
What did she use to bind you to the bed?
Handcuffs and a dog leash.
What age did this happen? Excuse me.
Leash was connected to her. So anytime that I would move, she would feel me move. And if she was asleep, I would move, she would wake up.
How sick is this? Tying a child up with a leash, dog, chain, cuffs, whatever, handcuffs. How old was she when this was going on? Because this is why I said they had to be sleeping in the same bed, because she stated in the last article by HuffPost, I couldn't get in the room. I had to make a path to get in the room. So that means she was sleeping in the same bed. So we've got mother and daughter bathing up until death. We've got two grown women sleeping in the same bed together. We've got a young lady who is now a woman who wants freedom to live like normal children, people. No friends, no outside world. Just a barrage of putting on like a circus act, showcasing her like a rag doll animal, then coming home, beating her, hurting her, berating her, casting spells, bathing with her. Did she sexually assault her child? I'm curious. Will we hear that from the documentary, the book, whatsoever? Because what's the point of this all? What is the point of all of it? This is crazy to myself. Yes, that's what I said, Panda, before. Had she killed her mother, they would have said self-defense. I do believe. But then, you know, it always depends on the 12 members of a jury, because as we have seen with certain cases, people are walking free just from killing their own kid. So You never know what 12 members of a jury will say, because they may be saying what a lot of other people are saying. Well, she could have ran away. She could have ran away. Well, we've heard this 1,000 times with children who are abused, period. They don't tell because they have fear put in them by the perpetrators. Yeah, it would be easy to tell somebody's touching you, beating you, but kids don't do it. Grown people don't even tell when they're being beat up. They just don't. Naturally, you can say, well, you're grown. You can run, you can walk. But it's the same thing. Brainwashing, feeling insecure, feeling like you need this person or you fear them, that you feel like, well, hell, if I do run, I do leave, I try to disappear, they'll find me. And you do have people who will say that. Men will tell women that. I'll find you no matter where you go. You can't escape me. This is absolutely sleeping with the enemy. Your own mother. Dear God, this is too barbaric for me.
I was at her mercy for everything. So to go to the bathroom, for food. As punishment, she would not feed me every day. And she would eat whatever she wanted. So it was these things that she would do that was almost taunting.
I'm glad she told that, because that's what I thought. When they said she had told the doctor, I don't know why she's not gaining weight. She's deliberately starving her. She's deliberately starving her. So I take her to the doctor. I'm not going to tell them, oh yeah, I'm starving her. They can't figure out, well, what's wrong? What's wrong? But the doctor should have known she's being starved, because if there's no food in your stomach, duh. When you ask her how many bowel movements she has made, excuse my language, but those are things you're supposed to ask. How frequent are her bowel movements? What do they look like? What did Gypsy, what did the mother tell them? Because I won't doubt that they asked for stool samples, perhaps, just so they could see what's in the movement. And you gotta have food in your stomach to make a movement at some point. This is so sickening to me. And excuse the commentary, but it's in order to show a point that you have to go to the bathroom at some point, whether it's liquid or the other. So eating food will cause you to go to the bathroom at some point. I just don't understand the doctors. How many filed a report to CPS? That's what I like to know. Where are those doctors today? I want all of them to stand up and tell me what the hell you were thinking, because I don't understand none of this.
When I think of being chained up like an animal, that would be a mark of a mother who had no conscience, did not care about what her daughter thought or felt.
For 2 weeks, I tried to gain more of her trust. A lot of begging on my part. I promise I won't do it again. I'll be good. I will never talk to Dan again, to the point where she believed me enough to start allowing me little freedoms, like going to the bathroom on my own, taking a bath on my own. So leaving her sight for small amounts of time, until she took me off the chain completely. After this attempt, she was very sensitive to when I would move in the bed. And she kept a knife by her bedside table, and she threatened me that if I was to attempt to run away, I would be punished for it.
Oh, Lord, have mercy. Can you imagine living like this with your own mother, tied up, chained up, can't even move in the bed? What if you wanted to just sleep on your side or sleep on your stomach? You can't, because you've got unstable Mabel here. She can't even sleep herself because she's worried about Gypsy coming up out of there. I wish she had ran. I read a comment today where somebody said, I wish she had have just ran away or went and tried to call the police. Yes. Yes. I wish she had said, I know I can walk. I know I can run. I'm going to wait to get out of this house some type of way and get out of here. Whispered something to a nurse, wrote a note. This lady's holding me hostage. She's deliberately starving me. I'm going from doctor to doctor. We keep moving around. But that's probably make-believe, because how are you going to write anything if somebody's watching your every move? You don't have no privacy. So we already know as a young child, she wouldn't have been able to write a note because this woman was hovering over her. This is so bad in every way. Just bad, bad, bad. There's just no word to describe this type of abuse.
Dee Dee was very controlling, but yet dependent. And so there's going to be pretty harsh punishment and abuse if, she defies your mother.
After the 2 weeks that I was chained, my mother put a voodoo hex on me. She printed out a picture of Dan, and she printed out a picture of me, and she went to the store and got a mason jar and a cow tongue. She put the cow tongue in the mason jar with the 2 pictures and a little bit of my menstrual blood. Put it in a mason jar, buried it in the backyard, and said that you will never find love. You will never be happy.
Excuse me. Maybe that was the problem with Gypsy. She was angry that the father had left her. It didn't work out. She's mad at the world. She's bitter. She feels unattractive because Dee Dee wasn't a bad-looking woman when she was younger and much smaller. But over the years, she had become complacent, obviously, gained a lot of weight. So she made herself unattractive. Now I got to make my child pay the piper. Nobody wants me. Nobody cares for me, but they'll care for me with a sick little girl. So this is why I'm trying to figure out, when did they start moving around? So before they went to Missouri, what was their life like in Louisiana? Did she keep a stable job? Did she keep a stable place to live? Because I'm trying to get to the gist of the start of this proxy business. Was it 8, 9 when she went to Missouri? When did it start? How did she treat her when she was a toddler, a baby? Did she ever try to hurt her when she was an infant? Starve her, didn't feed her. See, we don't know, because naturally Gypsy's not going to know any of that. But what was the start? 4 years old or 8? When did they start moving around? Because Gypsy also questioned that. Why were we moving around so much? So this is why I need to know, was she moving around with the child when they were in Louisiana before moving to Missouri? Lord have mercy, what a mess.
So I think that it's true. So sorry.
Now she's crying.
I just think it's true because it's like every time I get close to someone, they leave me.
So she's making her believe she was no good.
Many men write to me in prison. That's how I met Ken. We got engaged in 2019, but it didn't work out. I was still...
Let me go back here. Hold on.
I just think it's true because it's like every time I get close to someone...
I'm going to show you Ken. Hold on.
Many men write to me in prison. That's how I met Ken.
Decent looking guy.
We got engaged in 2019.
Happened.
But it didn't work out. I was still such a young girl. I had so much to learn about relationships.
Very strange. What happened with Ken?
And he
Fame.
left me. And it broke my heart. And so it's like I always bring it back to that curse where I'm like, I believe it's true. She never wanted me to find love or be happy. I do have mixed emotions about not growing up with a father around. There's so many things that I wish that I could have experienced with him or experienced in general. But I look at my sister and I look at all the things that my sister got to do that I never got to. And for a long time, I have been very jealous of my sister. And it's stupid, but the simple fact that she grew up with our father, she got to have him at prom, she got to have him teach her how to ride a bike, all the things that I never got to. And it hurts. I think about what could have been.
She has her mother's hair.
Her, my sister, and I think maybe I would have just been just like her if I would have lived with my dad. You know, maybe I would have been cheerleading captain.
This blonde-haired girl they show in this docu-series with the family, is this also the same girl that's on that TikTok video with Gypsy Rose talking about the D is fire? I surely hope not, because that was not a good look for any woman, including Gypsy Rose, to be talking about what the sex is like with the new husband, Mr. Ryan. Not good at all.
Something, you know. I want that opportunity for my father to guide me like a real parent should. But I do feel like my father doesn't want to tell me what to do because I have been told what to do my whole life. And I know that he wants me to make my own choices.
Afraid to tell her what to do. Very interesting. These are lifetime installments. What a story. What a story. One minute, everybody. Oh, Lordy. Let's see what they have to say about the husband.
When I wrote the letter to Gypsy, I really just thought she would get it and read it and be like, oh, that's sweet. Thank you for reaching out, and be like, okay, and just stick it in her stack of the list. You know, I did not expect anything from it. Well, I was on my lunch break, and all of a sudden I got an email from Gypsy, and it was like a request for me to email her back. And I remember looking at it and being like, whoa, like my letter must have touched her some way, because I did not expect her to write me back. Like, it was one of those where I got it and I was like, oh my God. I was like, I just couldn't believe it. I was dumbfounded. And I remember running back into my office and being like, hey, Gypsy Rose Blanchard requested for me to write her back. I was like, what do I do? And my friend was like, well, you write her back, sign all that stuff out. I was like, okay, cool. And downloaded the app and sent her an email like, hey, and I wrote a long email. You know, I was like, obviously you got my letter, and, you know, just went from there. Like, and just was like, I can't believe you wrote back to me. Like, why did you choose me? And like, that's what I'm thinking in my head. Like,
Well, see, many people, Ryan, no disrespect to you, but people are going to question why you would write this lady. What were you trying to gain by reaching out to her? it is said that you felt sorry for her situation, but we can empathize with people all the time, but it doesn't mean we should reach out to them. It doesn't matter if they're incarcerated or not, in jail, in prison. And we get it. People are lonely inside. They're also on the grift. They need somebody to put commissary on the books. And that is the main reason why most men reach out to women. They know they'll never have a relationship with the woman. They probably won't want her even if they got released from prison. It is to just get money and gifts. And the fact that you are a school teacher, that is even more disturbing, because most people are going to think to themselves, you weren't thinking about your own livelihood. You weren't thinking about your life as a teacher, a man being around school children. It has come to my attention that you lost your last job, if indeed that is true, the last job, because it got out that you had been coinciding with Miss Gypsy Rose Blanchard inside of the prison. So now I have to ask myself the obvious question. What is going to happen to his employment at the present school? Because now you are in public showing yourself with her, getting in and out of cars, limousines. What is getting ready to happen now? Yes, she will probably get a lot of money from doing book deals and documentaries, giving her version. She may even sue that last documentary, The Act, because she does not agree with the content. So if indeed you lose your job, let's just say you lose your job, hypothetical, then you'll be relying on her income, which would be selling herself to the highest bidder for her story, speaking engagements, so on and so forth. How is that going to work? Because I do believe the man should be the breadwinner. That's just my opinion. I do believe, yes, a woman should work if she wants to work. She can afford to work. But this story is different. It starts out, she is the person without the income. She's the one locked up. Now she's chosen you, you've chosen her. She's free. And now she has deals to be in the process of being made. But what I always say is, imagine the worst case scenario, and that would be you getting fired. Where are you going to go work after getting fired from here? Because what people are going to say is, well, there's a reason why they fired you, sir. Why did they fire you? What are you going to say? The truth? Well, it's because I picked up this lady who conspired to kill her mom, and I really love her, and she really loves me. Nobody wants to hear that. And they're not going to hear that. Because what they're going to say is, we don't want any negativity of our staff, whether we believe what she did was right or wrong. It's still negative. And it involves murder. So that's still a serious offense, even though she was abused. But it's just not a good look for a teacher. And some will say they ain't a good look for nobody. But the point is, people will choose whomever to like, to love, to date. But I don't see them wanting you, the school board, school district, wanting you as a teacher in their district. That's just the way it is. Somebody says he's going to join the cash bandwagon. Well, yeah, because somebody may come along to say, well, let's ask him, does he want to write a book? Set up the stage of how you met her, blah, blah, blah. What's going on with the relationship now? But as I have said before with posting to social media, I do not think she's ready for social media. I did not condone that TikTok video. I thought it was crass and just low rent. I feel like what you do behind closed doors is your business. You do not need to advertise what he had, don't got, what he doing, how he do it. And if that's her sister in the video, you got to be ashamed of yourself, because there's no way I would be going live with her talking about the D is fire, fire. It's disrespectful. And he probably thinks it's funny because she's bragging about his talent, whichever talent it is, but it's not cute. It's not cute at all.
What made her choose me to write me back? Because she gets letters all over the place, all the time. Gypsy's getting out December 28, 2023, and we plan on getting a place in with our whole family and having Christmas. after that, then me and her will have a late honeymoon for New Year's.
This is Jupiter. My name is...
The fact that he has his hair bleached blonde and during this documentary is strange to me. I know men sometimes color their hair, but that's, I don't know, off-putting to me for some reason. Oh, Lord Jesus, what is going on with these people? Just insane.
Kind of like a little bonding moment for me and him to have, because like I know that Christy and Dad want their time with me and I want to give them that, but also I'm married and I need to have something that solidifies me and Ryan's marriage, because he and I have only ever been able to hold hands in a visitation room.
That's what I'm looking forward to. And then we'll get in my car and drive home. And I actually plan to take off work for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, just to get her fully adjusted. You know, we got things we got to do. We got to see her parole officer. We got to.
So she's on parole.
Louisiana ID.
I have started thinking about what kind of jobs I would love to do once I am released. I think that for certain jobs, of course, being a felon comes with restrictions. So I'm trying to see.
So she has to abide by rules still out here on parole, because naturally if you get out at 85%, that means you're paroled. So she has to see a parole officer. She will have to check in possibly once a week, get a job, show that she's doing something constructive with her time. They will also possibly ask her to pee in a cup, give a drug sample weekly. So it's more than just, oh, I'm going on The View and Lifetime and all that. She's got to see a parole officer. So how's that going to work traveling the globe with this newfound freedom? Because you have to get permission to go out of state, and New York is not Missouri, and it ain't Louisiana, wherever they're living. Stay woke, everybody. How is this newfound fame going to work out with the parole officer? Is the officer man or woman? I'm curious. Will she abide by the rules? As I said, she will not, they will probably ask her to take drug tests. So will she be able to be clean and free of drugs, alcohol? Will she show up on time? Will she call and say, I'm late, I can't make it? What type of work is she going to try to do? Can't see her working at the local Starbucks. I don't think it's going to work out, her trying to find a job and work at a regular place after this. Because no matter what you believe about what happened with her and her mother, if you think she's attention seeking for the, fame, whatever, all that doesn't matter because she's grown. The point is she has to be able to have a job because she's got to be able to comply with the parole board. So I'm trying to figure out where she's going to work. Her best bet is to find something online to do, and she'd have to show verification to the parole officer that she's hired with this company and show paperwork she's been hired. I cannot see her working at the local Piggly Wiggly or IGA food store. People be coming in her gawking, filming her. God forbid she doesn't have a filter. She starts talking, saying stuff she ain't got no business saying. Next thing you know, her parole officer be paying her a visit. Because you can't trust people. And she's an easy target and an easy mark. So really it would be very dangerous. The stepmother already said she had stalkers. So how long do you think it'll be before somebody found out where she works, where she's living? Mr. Ryan, all you have to do is Google his name, phone number. One of the stalkers got a hold of the stepmother's number. How would you get her phone number? Because of good old Google. Sometimes Google's not that friendly. It can cause a person to end up dead. Because all it takes is some wacko to want to reach out and touch her. Because you got to remember, he's now married to her and he was a random stranger. Stay woke. And you hear his voice in here in this commentary, he's too excited. And people are going to question him. Why are you so excited to meet somebody that conspired to kill their mother? Even though, yes, she was abused, but still, it's still kind of creepy to some. Why are you excited to meet Gypsy Rose Blanchard, a woman you don't know from a can of paint? Don't know anything about her. Did he even know all this stuff about the abuse with the mother and the grandfather when she started talking to him? Did she tell him everything that happened with the abuse? Imagine he didn't know everything up until here recently. Imagine that. Is he only reaching out to her, married her, in hopes that she'll be doing book deals, interviews, to ride the donkey ride of fame? Is he going to be grifting her, using her? Did she also just hope to find somebody that she could run out to, live with, and so she don't have to live with family members or somebody and be taken care of by a man? I don't know. Just asking all the questions.
My expectations kind of realistic. I'm just gonna have to find whatever job that I can start out with. I have bounced from a dog walker to wall.
Who says you can't go for gold without?
Sorry about that, you guys. Oh, so crazy information. I don't know. I know people got a date, but it's just, I ain't understanding it right now. Somebody's gonna date her, and he's gonna date somebody. So there you go.
I just worry about big dreams of what I want to be when I quote unquote grow up a little later.
My main focus is how is getting out of prison going to affect her? You know, because I know it's going to be great, but it's going to be different.
I think she would like coming here.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think she would like to probably bring her kid.
As far as her getting married, I feel like the first time she talked about getting married with Ken, I had some serious doubts about that. He was a nice guy and all, but I don't know if he was the best fit for her. I met Ryan, and I feel much more confident about Ryan's demeanor and his objectives. He's goal orientated, and I think his intentions are sincere. I think he loves her, so I'm happy about that. Keep our fingers crossed, like I said, and hopefully it works out.
Hopefully it does. I mean,
Yeah.
like I said, if it doesn't, we'll be there to pick up the pieces, move her home.
It's Christy,
I wish she
stepmom.
would've just waited so, she can live home with
Sister
mom
speaking,
and dad.
Maya.
It would be easier for family time. It would be easier to create that bond with her that, we're both robbed of. Me and my brother. And just not gonna be the same as if she would have been living at home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not. I mean, it's not going to be the same. It's not what we were hoping for. We were looking forward to that, but I mean, at the end of the day, we just want her to be happy. If that's what it is, I have a feeling she's going to come home and probably want to spend some time there. I think she's going to like being there with us as well. She might need a little break from Ryan or whatever. I think she'll do a little back and forth, possibly. I mean, I think they'll all have done some back and forth, so we'll have her ready for her, and we'll have something ready to cook every time she comes. We can accommodate her however she wants to.
The whole neighborhood can't wait till she's home, actually,
Wow.
Everybody's stopping and asking about her and
Whole neighborhood.
when she's
Interesting.
coming home and can't wait to, see her and hug her, which is good about living in a family street, is that if she wants to
Exactly.
go for a walk, if somebody sees something unusual going on, they'll go out there, so she'll be safe in the street, no doubt, she'll be very safe. There's people that come and we don't want them there, get them out.
Well, at least they got some good neighbors that seem to care. That's a good thing. What about the neighbors that don't care? May not want the
I really
circus.
don't know if Gypsy's been able to take part in any of the real cultural things that we have down south here. She has taken part in some Mardi Gras type stuff, but as far as wildlife and out in the nature, I don't think she's had an opportunity to do a lot of that. Roughing it a little bit, it's really fun. Depending what time of the year it is, there's a
very good question
here. From the summertime, we do some fishing.
Let me break up in here. JQ5 has a good question. Where were they? Well, I've asked that question since I started talking about this story. Well, you got to remember, Dee Dee left the Louisiana area after Katrina and went to Missouri. Do not know if this was because of the storm itself, because naturally, you know, the area was flooded, New Orleans area, and she decided to pick Missouri to go to, or maybe she was shipped there. See, I don't know, because I don't know what type of family dynamic she had when she was in Louisiana. And naturally, if the area was flooded, many people had to move anyway. So did she go to Missouri because that was an easier place to get on? Or was she shipped there? Because you do know people were shipped out of the area, bused and flown to different locales in America. I don't know all the answers, excuse me. And maybe she didn't want to keep up with the families, the father, because once she decided to put this rules into motion, she was not going to want to stay in contact with the father and other people. But what's baffling is this timeline of abuse between the father, the grandfather, and Dee Dee. What state did that happen in, the abuse after the car wreck? Dee Dee was in a car wreck. Other family members said they noticed something was off with her, Gypsy. Who are those family members? It's a lot of questions that don't have no damn answer.
Crabbing, catching the big blue crabs and bring them home and boil them right away. Have some friends and family over. Have a good little crab ball. Winter time, we'll start doing some duck hunting, some deer hunting, which is real enjoyable. It's not so hot. We get to stay at the camp and make us a little fire at night. Frogs, we'll catch frogs. I know it's not a big thing around the rest of the country, but a lot of people down here, they like frog legs. It's just fun. It's, I brought Christy, Mia, and at first it was like, I don't want to touch a frog, but you get out there at night with your light on and kind of creepy and riding around and you see a frog and you pull up to it and grab it, and it's after you catch one or two, it's fun. They enjoy it. I'm curious to see how Gypsy's going to react to being out here in this environment. She's not out there alone. She's with me. I'll make her feel comfortable, but I'm curious to see how she's going to act in that space there. Just something totally different that she's never done before. She's probably going to say, "Man, I had a blast. Can't wait to go back." I hope.
Daddy's got a boat. That's commentary. Just giving you a few snippets from Lifetime. We've got about 14 videos or so for all this going on, her life. What's going to become of this young lady? Two weeks ago, Law and Crime uploaded Killer Cases, the twisted case of Gypsy Rose Blanchard. Y'all might want to try that out to get the gist. Nancy Grace has some content uploaded 8 hours ago pertaining to the Idaho student murders. Sick ghouls eye demolished house. So please don't tell me people are rummaging through there trying to get debris from that location. I assume they picked all that stuff up when they tore the house down. It's very sick to me. Very, very sick. Lots of people talking about this story. It is the hottest story going on. I'm just looking here in the queue. Nicholas Godejohn's mother police interview. That should be very interesting. Maybe that'll be my next live stream. Thank you, JQ5. Thank you so much for the donation. Maybe that will be my next stream sometime this week. Mr. Godejohn. Does he deserve life in prison without the possibility of parole? Yes, he admitted to killing the mother. He talked very candidly about that during his interrogation, bragged about it, went to social media, posted that the lady was dead, using a derogatory slur. But when you look at his demeanor in court, that is night and day of the person that was in the interrogation room. In the court trial, he's staring off into space. He has no emotion. Even when he got the verdict and he walks out, he waves possibly at his family before going through that door. There's nothing. He is like numb. And that leads me to believe that he has some mental issues because he looked like somebody that possibly was had a lower IQ or just something was off of him during the trial from what I've seen. And many people will say, well, he killed the lady. He brutally killed her. Even though she was a monster, he killed her. Some will even say that possibly Gypsy Rose should have gotten more time in prison or life because she should have known better, even though she was abused. But the point is, if you're not there, you're not being abused, you're not mentally, you haven't been brainwashed, sexually assaulted, you really can't speak for what will go through a person's mind. It's just easy to judge because you're on the outside. That's why we hear all these judgments about sexual assault. Why you wait so late to tell? Why are you coming out 30 years later? Why are you coming out 20 years later? Well, it's no different than what you're hearing about Gypsy Rose. If you never heard of this story, you didn't know what she went through. She didn't probably tell a lot of people what happened with her in her house with the mother and the grandfather. The people found her in the prison and went and looked for her to tell her story. She might have told a few inmates, but the point is, you as an outsider didn't know her. You didn't know about the case. Because we have murder cases all around the United States. No way the average person can keep up with every murder case. And now she's telling her story, and she's selling her story to different entities. Some may have a problem with that. But as I said, people sell their stories all the time. Books, documentaries, movies. It is what it is. Is she being hustled by this man? I don't know. Is she hustling him to have a place to stay? I don't know. Does she even want to live with her family? Because in the end, that's where she would have to go had she not met this husband. And as I said, listening to him talk, Mr. Ryan, it's just creepy listening to somebody talk about being so excited that somebody wrote them back. And he asked his friend, what do I do? And the guy told him, well, respond. That's just creepy to me. Because why are you so excited? You reached out to her. She responded. What else did she have to do? She had nothing else to do. She didn't know what you looked like, so she responded. Then you two started talking. It's very strange behavior. Because I'm trying to understand, why would I be this excited talking to a documentary group about an inmate messaging me, writing me when I wrote them first? That's just weird to me. Say what? Oh, Lord, you all are crazy. I'm never going to this man's house for dinner. Oh, well. But that's why he said that's what they do down there in the deep South. That's deep. That's below Tennessee. So what they eat down there, we may not eat up here. They are, they like seafood on the bottom states. Louisiana, Florida. So they have a different appetite. Panda says she is being swarmed by opportunists and raised by one. I hope she gets some support from people who really don't want anything from her and can help her. Yes, and that will be the most interesting part of the story if we later find out that other people related to her, such as her family, will be wanting money. I won't doubt that somebody will probably be asking her for funds. Why not? It happens all the time. People get wealthy, they get rich, they get lump sums of money some type of way, and people start coming around asking for funds. So will that happen to her? Will her family start asking her for money? How will that fare with her husband? A lot of questions. Lot of questions. That's so cute, Jakey5. The little dancing person. That's cute. I don't know. That's the gist of what I have right now because it's late. But what will become of Gypsy Rose Blanchard? Will she fare out here well? Because now we hear of parole officers and having to comply. I do not know how long she will be on parole. So how long is she on parole? Does she have a man or a woman parole officer? Will she have to go in every week? Will she have to comply with drug testing? I would assume so, since she is now admitted to being on drugs before the murder, at the time of the murder of the mother, and also bartering with drugs inside of the prison, which I found very disturbing. And I've heard of people getting high outside of prisons, jails. The drugs are getting in there, and 9 times out of 10, they're getting in there by the staff members, the guards. So somebody's going to have to stand account for that, because she's now admitted to getting high in the prison. So now the warden or whomever is going to have to now say, who gave you the drugs? Will she admit to getting high? Because they had to sit there and listen to her say during that Lifetime interview, oh yeah, I've been clean only 4 years, 5 years. Well, how can you be clean 4 or 5 years? You've been in here 8.5 or however many years it was when they did the interview. You can count. And if you're listening, there had to be a guard in the room listening. Like, oh, SHIT. Somebody's going to be in trouble because she's now admitting she's been getting high in here. And now she's clean. So who brought the drugs in the damn prison? So there needs to be an investigation into that, because that's the last place that there needs to be drug trafficking. The people are already off mentally, deranged, psychopaths, sociopaths. The last thing they need is to be under the influence of narcotics. And your job is there to keep the inmates safe, the staff safe. So you bringing in drugs is ridiculous. And it needs to stop. As for therapy, we know that most inmates will never get therapy inside because there wouldn't be a budget to give everybody therapy. And then once a person gets a long sentence, such as life, what would be the point of therapy? Think about it. Why would the state want to pay for a life inmate to get therapy? 3,000 or so inmates. You think they have money to see that everybody gets therapy inside a prison? Because some of you have mentioned that. You know that would never work. They're doing good to feed them, keep the lights on, Wi-Fi, linen, uniforms, paying for nurses, doctors, paying the staff members. No way they're going to go to the state and say, oh, yeah, by the way, we want to make sure all our inmates are counseled for their deviances. You're on your own in there. The most counseling they're going to get is possibly from churches that come in and administer the word of God and their own thought process. All the interviews and shows, too, they are using her to make money. Well, it's a money business, talking about people's lives. That's just the way it is. Any documentary about anything, they offer you a pay, you either accept it or don't. It happens every day. I do wish her well. I hope she can have a good life, okay? Panda says, Gypsy has been a prisoner her entire life until now, raised by a mother who said nobody would love her. I hope it's possible for her to have love, to know the difference between love and usury. Yes, exactly. Because who can teach you about love if you've never been loved and you have never known true love? She didn't even know what friendship was. You see, the one girl she became friends with inside of the prison, turned on her to try to get a plea deal. As I said, I don't know if that girl got a deal. lady got a deal or not. But then she met another lady who's in there locked up for the same crime. I do not know the status of her incarceration. But there's no trust. That's what people need to understand about prison. Prison is just like the street. The only difference is you cannot roam. But the fuckery and the lying and the manipulation and the stealing and the connery, prison is just another version of the outside. You're just confined. All of the connery, ways to survive, it's the same. You're just confined. It's the only difference. You can't believe nothing anybody says. You can't trust anything a person says because it's survival of the fittest. People are doing whatever they have to do to maintain and get by while being locked up until they are released or if ever released. It is no different than what they do out here. That is the reason why you have a high recidivism in this United States of America, because they don't learn anything in there. They go in there, don't get any help, come back out here, do the same damn thing over again, and then go right back in there. And God forbid they do something worse. It is most definitely the American way for some. Going in and out of prison and jail. So boxing is big in prison. My son was on it, got hooked on dope. He asked for money, he had every excuse for cash. That's why when he first got there, thank God he's clean now. Well, hopefully she will stay clean. She won't get tempted to use drugs. But as I said to you all earlier in my commentary pertaining to this case, this story rather, it was just 2 weeks ago she wasn't feeling well. She was down because she's watching social media and the not so nice comments about Ryan. And as I said in that commentary, if you're already getting upset days after getting out of prison over he said, she said, what are you going to do when you're out here and you have to deal with real people in real conversations? You overhear somebody whispering about you or making a comment about you. What you going to do? Lash out, start hollering, screaming? What you going to do? Jump up, hit them, punch them? See, the true test of life is being free, not locked up. Your true test is when you are free. And that's going to be her test. Will she be able to make it out here dealing with different types of attitudes and mentalities, temptations? She's got to worry about not getting into trouble, drinking, drugs, the wrong type of people trying to manipulate her, use her, fake friendships. She has a lot to be concerned about. Because see, you're hidden away in prison with, the ways of the world. But the ways of the world also jump off in there as well. There's still, like I said, fuckery and connery in prison. But the only difference out here is that you can roam. You can go from place to place. You can get into a whole lot of mischief when you're free. And now with the internet being so ever popular, it's dangerous. And if you are weak-minded, you can be coerced easily. The internet can be the death of you. And I think many of you have seen what has happened to many people who could not stop posting and putting out their personal business, talking about other people, spreading lies and rumors about people. A lot of those people have ended up dead or hurt. And I don't think she has much self-control. And that is dangerous because that's what got her in prison in the first place. Meeting somebody and conspiring with them and then helping them kill her mom. And like I said, if you don't have any control over what you're reading, she could easily end up right back in the same situation. Because what you have to say is, if you can get angry days after getting out of prison over Facebook posts and TikTok posts and all that other type of nonsense, what are you going to do if somebody's standing close to you and they're talking bad about you or say something nasty? What are you going to do? What is she going to do? Lash out? Start screaming, hollering? Pick up a weapon? So you have to think about that. All that talking on there. Oh, the D is fire, blah, blah, blah. I got my man, woo, woo, woo. But yet she was depressed New Year's Eve. She's not as happy as she claimed because she's worrying about chitter chatter. Yes, she should stay off the internet. Yes, I think that's exactly what she should have done. Got out, did her little interviews if that's what she wanted to do. But I would not be posting to social media and talking every day what I wore, what dress I got on, what name brand I got on. I just left the view, all that. I wouldn't be doing all that. I wouldn't do all that. Because there are going to be some people that already know where that man lives. You'll probably have people standing out there waiting for them to return. You got to think about all that. He's got to worry about the safety of his house, his vehicle. I don't think Ron has really thought this through. You're going to have a good security system now. And he also needs to be worried about his job. Because in the end, she doesn't work anywhere. She doesn't have a degree. She probably does not have a lump sum of money probably saved up. She's got to get paid for these little gigs and everything. Just like he said in his documentary, I got to leave. We're going to stay out for what did he say? I got to stay out for 2 weeks. We got stuff to do. It almost sounds comical. We got stuff to do. We. You mean she's got stuff to do. You're just following her around, aiding her through airports and taxi cabs and so on and so forth. And I'm not trying to be mean, but it just sounds weird saying that. I have to take off for 2 weeks or whatever because we got stuff to do. So now you got to ask, how long are you going to be doing this stuff? Because at some point, you've got to go back to work and teach your kids social studies or whatever your profession, your teaching job is. And you better hope they decide to keep you on, because I got a feeling he's going to get let go from this job. They're not going to keep him. It's too much of a risk. Although he's a grown man, this is his personal decision to date who he wants to date, but it may be a distraction as a teacher. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because depending on what grade he teaches, children talk, they watch TV, they're on the social media. They could be like, oh my God, my teacher, he's dating that lady that helped kill her mom. That ain't what you want to be hearing in your classroom. I'm sorry, but that is not what you want to hear while trying to teach kids. And you definitely don't want to hear it in the hallways by the staff members. I honestly believe he is not going to have a job. So this 2-week hiatus is probably going to end up being indefinitely. He's going to have to find a job from home. Both of them are going to be working on a computer. How about that? So I hope they got good Wi-Fi at their house, because I do believe both of these people are going to be working, trying to find jobs, internet jobs. Well, I'm going to check out of here. I want to thank you all for watching, the few people that are in the chat and in the viewing audience. When I get another update pertaining to Gypsy Rose, I will bring you the commentary, any other updates pertaining to this debacle of her being free and obviously enjoying the attention, and he's enjoying it as well. I hope for her sake that this union with him, Mr. Ryan, is genuine. I also pray that the family members who are supporting her are genuine. I pray that she doesn't get wrapped up with the wrong people that will try to use and manipulate her and con her. I pray that she gets an attorney to make sure that she's signing what she's supposed to be signing in all her documents and contracts, because it'll be a shame we hear some mess down the road later of somebody trying to manipulate and con her. And this guy, he's college educated, so he hopefully knows how to read contracts. If not, just hire an attorney and let them handle it for you. Will this relationship work out? What other allegations will we hear pertaining to Dee Dee Blanchard and the grandfather? The grandfather has denied all allegations of child SA. His assertion is that she approached him, touching him inappropriately, and he told her no. Allegedly, it started at 4. Somebody's arguing another age, 9 or 10. I don't really care what age it is, because in the end, everything's pertaining to the mouth of Gypsy. So it is what it is. But I do believe there are probably more things that will come out pertaining to the abuse she succumbed to by her mother. And it's obvious the mother was very ill. And I'm just waiting to see if she tells me that her own mother touched her. That would be just devastating to hear a woman has molested her own daughter. But it made no sense for her to continuously have a grown woman sleeping in her bed. Bathing with a grown woman and sleeping with a grown woman, that's your child. So it doesn't matter if it's same sex, opposite sex. There comes a point when your children need to be sleeping in their own bed and they need to be bathing in the bathtub by themselves without you in there with them. And the fact that she alleges that the mother was also SA by the father, Dee Dee's father touched her as a grown woman. So as I said in the earlier commentary, was it audible? Could she hear things coming from the room between the grandfather and her own mother? This is bad. So imagine hearing all of this stuff, being abused by grandfather, mother, talked down to, mother casting spells on her, bathing with her, God forbid touching her, beating her up, threatening her, to now be released from prison after helping to kill her, and you've got to try to rewire your brain that this is not normal. Beating a kid, tying up a kid, casting spells, bathing a kid, being touched by relatives, berated, nobody's going to love you, like you. You've got to now try to, what is the word? Have these demons cast out of you. Cast out your brain. I forgot the word. Deprogram. That's what I'm looking for. She's got to be deprogrammed. Literally. No different than being in a cult. No different than being in the occult. I want to thank you all for your time. I will be back later today with commentary pertaining to Boy H. We will go over my polls pertaining to the information he released in the live stream recently. We'll also discuss what Candace Bly has responded to. I have not gotten wind of what she has replied pertaining to what he has said. Why is the information a bit different than the Chris Madonna interview? We will go over that information, and I'll also bring you other updates to breaking news pertaining to the Murdoch case, the Chrisleys, and other shenanigans. I'll bring that to you as well. And there's something else I want to bring to you. Another live stream I want to talk about. Service animals. State of Tennessee has implemented a new law pertaining to only service animals being allowed to go into a public restaurant with the owner, but companion dogs, animals will not be allowed. I'll discuss that with you all at a later date. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $BLANCHARD, 129 Cash App. Stickers and chats are always welcome during the live stream. Thank you all so much for tuning in. You're welcome, sweetheart. You know Candace and Don are freaking out about Hunter talking. Well, some of you believe that he was favoring them. He didn't believe that she was sold. He believes she possibly wandered off and got snatched up. So that's favoring the parents as not being complicit. But he's still thrown Candace under the bus by talking about the vapes and the tea. And when Chris Madonna talked to her about the vapes, she doesn't even remember if he took one or not. But let him tell it, it's like she bought them for him. So that's what I asked you on the polls. Did she deliberately buy the boy a tea to drink? Did she buy several teas or a few teas to drink for she, Boy H, and Grandis? What's the truth? Because she told Chris Madonna she bought the tea for Grandis. Now we have Boy H, voila, drinking the tea. So how many teas did she buy? How many vapes did she buy? Did she buy a vape and a tea for this young boy? We hear he got the shakes because he had had too much to drink. The father tells him also, well, you're not a drinker. So then you got to ask that question. Well, how many teas did he drink in order to get the shakes? Because that's a very good question. Thank you, sweetheart. You would probably get the shakes if you are not a drinker. You've drank too much alcohol. Number two, you could be a drinker and drink too much alcohol and still get the shakes. You can also get the shakes if you're alcoholic and you have not had any alcohol. For those who did not know that. You get withdrawals from anything that you've become addicted to. So you get the shakes from not having your fix. You get the shakes from having too much of the drug, alcohol. It's all the same. You know, everybody is, body works differently. But I can tell you, yes, you will get the shakes if you've had too much alcohol in your system because it's nothing but sugar. And it can cause, you know, a negative effect to your body, all that alcohol in you. Oh, Lord, what a mess. What is Candace's response to this latest information by Hunter? I have not gone to look to see what she has said, but that will be a discussion tomorrow. We will go over the polls, the results from the polls. Please go to my community page to take the polls, give your opinion. You are also welcome to comment below those individual polls. You are also you can comment below the last video uploaded yesterday pertaining to Boy H's commentary on his father's channel. I do play most of it in its entirety. There are some times where I silence the video because of the cursing and all of that. But feel free to go over to the father's channel and watch it in its entirety. Do you believe what he has said now about Burger King, Sonic's? The child did eat. He doesn't believe that the parents hurt her. He doesn't believe that she was SA. Doesn't believe she was sold. He don't know about an SA allegation. Don't know anything about CPS being involved in the child's life. 8 or 9 months, the last time they all talked before Summer went missing. But one content says 4 months. Because Candace said, well, I went over there to ask Ellie about going to Duck Island or whatever. And I think Hunter went instead, allegedly. So that's a difference. See, it's too much being said. And now we have contradictory information during this live stream. Say what? Well, he was up all night. He first said to Chris. So Candace, I think, got him more liquor that day, and he got a vape too. Yeah. Well, he admits about the vaping. But what I'm saying is, she claims she bought 3. Did she intentionally buy one for him, or did he just take one on his own? Because Chris asked her about the vapes. Did you notice him taking one? And she said she don't know. I don't remember. See, you don't know what's the truth. She's already calling some lies now just from the stuff he's said. So we already knew she was a liar just from the WJHL news broadcast, the Chris Madonna interview. There's contradictory about the teas, the vapes, buying the tea for the mother. But then somebody says, oh, I heard Grandy say she don't drink. So see, you can't believe nothing these people have said. And I don't want to say the Boy H is a liar because I've been believing him up until now. But as he said, he don't remember stuff. He don't keep up with stuff. He don't keep up with politics. As I told people, he don't have to keep up with anything because he's a kid. He doesn't work anywhere. He never had a job that I know of. He didn't work back then in 2021 when the girl went missing. So why would he keep up with the time? Probably never owned a watch. And he has matured quite a bit in 2.5 years. I must say he looks different. He looks thinner. He now has children on the way, twins with an African-American female, a biracial female. He's got a lot on his plate. And frankly, those things are more important than doing live streams. He needs to get a job. He needs to work. I didn't hear any mention of him having employment. He's got to get his life together, because I pray he doesn't go down the road that that the parents have been on. As most of you know, the mother is sick. She's in the hospital. So we will see what happens with her health. Once again, prayers to their family. I would never wish, this woman to be sick, although I have not cared for her demeanor either from pictures I've seen, just things I just did not like about any of these people as far as their demeanor. In child rearing, and that was also mentioned too during the live stream when his father mentioned about the comparisons between Candace and his mom. Basically, it was said, they have a likeness. So he really didn't have to go into detail. But that's the whole point. He loves his mother. So no matter what I think of her or how she raised him and his sisters or whomever, that's his mother. And that's the same thing I said about the Wells children. We can judge these people 1,000 different ways negatively, but in the end, you really don't know what these kids think of their parents, how they feel about their parents, and they may actually still love their parents and may even still want to be with their parents. Even though they're 3 boys, there might be one in the group that wants to be back at home, because that's the point. They are all they know. And we have seen this with abuse and grooming. You can be beat up, essayed, talked down to, and still desire to be with your parents. Sick as it may sound, but it is what it is. Yes, prayers for boy H and the children and the young lady who is the girlfriend. Prayers for Miss Allie. Prayers for Summer Wells and the boys. I will bring you an update later tomorrow pertaining to Hunter's conversations, and I will read the results from the polls. And if I think of anything else, I'll post it. More questions that I can come up with. Thank you all so much for joining me this late morning. God bless all of you. Happy New Year to everybody. Please stay warm. It's cold. Pray for our homeless, those that are displaced, don't have anywhere to live, may even have a job but don't have a house, trailer, looking for a place, can't afford to rent the deposit. It's a lot going on right now in the world. And we do have a housing shortage in many locales. So prayers for those who are in search of a new place to live, a better place to live. Prayers for everybody. You've been listening to the Vault XL. Have a wonderful week, everybody.